thing always takes forever. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Here we go.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
You really adopted the dark. I was born in it.
Sounds like somebody's got a case of the Mondays.
Bazinga.
2 in the box. Ready to go.
We be fast.
They be slow.
Cool.
All right, and we're live and we're recording. Welcome to the MtGeekmore podcast, your favorite podcast where you come to watch or listen people talk, debate, and argue over their their top 4, their Mount Rushmore, if you will, of their favorite pop culture subjects. Today's pop culture subject, as you can tell by looking at your listening device or watching us on Facebook or YouTube, is our Mount Rushmore or MtGeekmore of Leonardo DiCaprio movies. In celebration of his most recent birthday, we thought this would be a good time to talk about Leonardo DiCaprio's film career. I am Neri Science. With me, as usual, is Daniel DeBona.
What up, y'all?
And we have David Ulloa.
Howdy.
And we have back second time, a great guest last time, Alex Murray.
Hello.
From the Missing Sock Network, correct?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
right
I do
on,
podcasts and shit.
Yeah. He does D&Ds and he does all that shit. He's like full-fledged. He's in it, man. He's in it.
I think that you are right. You aren't full-fledged podcaster unless you do broadcast role-playing games.
Yeah. I was meaning more like full-fledged geek, but I was like, yeah, that too, man. Let's go with that. All right, so we're talking about Leonardo DiCaprio movies. We're talking about our favorite Leonardo DiCaprio movies this time around. How did you guys come up with your selections? Alex, how did you come up with your list?
Oh, man. Well, I got to tell you, you told me Leo, and I was like, hell yeah. I've seen lots of Leonardo DiCaprio movies. Friends, I have not. I have not seen any of the big ones. I was going through this.
To be honest with you, 4 was a stretch.
I was going through this motherfucker's IMDb. I have seen 6 movies with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Your list is made.
I've seen 6, and
It's organization.
And I was like, I do not want to talk about Gilbert Grape, and so I went with the 4 that I've seen him in that I liked. 3 of my 4 I've seen more than once, and then I went with one that I was like, yeah, sure. So yeah, we're I am the bottle of the DiCaprio barrel over here.
Dave, how did you come up with your selection?
So similar to what I've done in the past when we've done an actor's mountain, I went with his performance in the film instead of the film itself, even though these are all fantastic movies. But for one in particular, I think like he's a really standout performance in there in a movie that is not as good as his performance is. And
that might be on mine.
So we'll see, but it's based on his performance in the movie and not the film as a whole.
Okay. DeBona?
For the most part, I'm on the same wavelength with Dave. Kind of had the exact opposite problem of Alex. At first, I was like, "Oh yeah, this will be easy, right?" And I list off like 5 movies, good to go. Then I jump on IMDb, and I was like, "Oh yeah."
I had that same issue.
But for the most part, 3 of my picks are ones where it's definitely his performance in a stellar movie. One of them is one where his performance is all right, but the movie is just so incredible that it had to make my list. And then there was one huge one where I talked myself out of it by saying like, it's not Leonardo DiCaprio's movie. That being said, when one of y'all mentions it, I'll be more than happy to talk about it.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about it.
I went with dreaminess, like how the level of dreaminess that he was in the movie. Like, where was his level of dreaminess?
Like Romeo and Juliet or Beaches.
Beaches.
Find out what you're into.
He was in The Beach.
The Beach. Sorry,
Beaches.
I do that every time. I do it
Midler's love
every
interest?
fucking time.
So yeah, so the no, I did I did movies that I gotta be honest with you. Every one of movies that I've seen of his, and there's maybe two of his that I haven't seen, as far as two major ones, I guess, that I haven't seen. But every movie that I've seen of his is really, I enjoy his performance tremendously. I don't think I've ever seen him do bad in a film. Uh, and but I will say that
I've only seen him act 6 times, Debona. So, like, doing it every time.
yeah. But so with that said, I will say that there are some films that are more rewatchable than others. So that's how I was able to easily cut. Like, this list took me all of 3 minutes because I was like, yeah, he was great in that, and the movie may have been great, but I'm not fucking rewatching that. This isn't like, you know what I mean? Some of those movies are not. I just don't want to sit there and watch it and get depressed all over again. So that's kind of what I did for my list.
There's only so many times you can watch a man get raped by a bear.
I mean,
He doesn't make
not
short
really.
movies
I haven't found
either,
that number yet. I haven't found that number.
I said there were only so many times. We don't
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to know what
I
that
haven't
number
found that
is.
number yet.
Still working on where the ceiling for that one is.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't watched The Revenant yet, but that other thing you were talking about, I've seen that quite a bit. That's actually my Pornhub filter. Is a lot of bear raping going on.
His algorithm is weird.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
lesbian vampires to this.
They started it. They were like, hey, would you like to see a father and a stepdaughter? And I was like, why the okay. I mean, yeah, that's it. I mean, I guess you guys know me better than I do.
If anybody does, it's your Pornhub algorithm.
Right.
Yeah. Would you
Our
like
truest
to see
selves. Our truest selves can be boiled down to our Pornhub algorithm.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's like, would you like to see a bear rape a human? And you're like, why the
Okay.
I mean,
you're
suggesting it.
I mean,
Could you follow
I guess
that up with
rifle wasn't
tween
enough.
slowly?
Was
So, I'm sorry.
Reminds me of that old Ron White bit where, this unattractive old lady comes to you and says, "You want to see my titties?" You go, "No, you can pull them out for me if you want."
All right, roll them back up.
all right, man. Let's go ahead and get it started with our number 4s.
With the fourth pick,
Round 4.
I'm in no mood for your wives' crack. Let's get it on.
All right, Alex, hit me up with your number 4, man. What do you
Number
what
4, man. Back before he was Romeo, even, man. Leo was trying to kill his dad, Gene Hackman, with a gun. Am I the only person that's seen The Quick and the Dead? Not a super duper popular movie.
Honorable mention. I love The Quick and the Dead, but yeah, honorable mention.
It's a good flick, man. It's like a weirdly good revenge, like Western. I mean, I love quick draws, so it's essentially just like a fighting movie, right? Like when they try to make a Mortal Kombat, or when they try to make what's the weird movie where like Ron Perlman is on top of a mountain with a scythe. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Anyway, The Quick and the Dead works like that, right? It's
It's
just
from Hellboy.
I think your Netflix queue is weirder than my Pornhub one. I gotta be honest with you.
I'm definitely gonna search for Ron Perlman with a scythe. Yeah, later when I get on Pornhub, though. Let me see that. Yeah, man. But he can act. Like I think we've said, man. Leo can really. He chews scenery in that one. It's like a little kid, and this is before Baz Luhrmann and before he's like nominated for shit and before all of it. He's just like spinning a gun and kicking ass and fucking Sharon Stone and having a good time. And I was like, yeah, all right. So that's
Sharon Stone. The story goes that Sharon Stone paid Leo out of her own budget, out of her own contract, because she wanted him in the movie and didn't have money for him in the movie, and she paid his salary out of her own, because she was the huge star. She had just come off basically, and she had come off. So that's the story. I don't know how true or accurate it is, but that's the story I heard.
I'm glad to hear somebody else talk about it, because I was pretty sure that I might be the only one who actually enjoys The Quick and the Dead. I know that you don't, Neri. I didn't know where you stood on it, Dave, but I know you like good westerns, so I thought The Quick and the Dead might be one you don't like.
I've actually never seen The Quick and the Dead, and it came up when we did the Mount Geekmore of westerns. I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, and this was one that we all prepared for months. Yeah. And when The Quick and the Dead came up, the general consensus was this was not a good film. So I have not rushed to go
Yeah.
see this.
The
It's a lazy movie.
Yeah.
It's not a well constructed film, but it's fun as shit. There's a whole
Yes.
lot of Gene
I could get
Hackman
on
chewing
board for that.
scenery and like saying good lines and like and Leonardo DiCaprio like if the rest of the movie were yeah, I'm gonna do it. Him in it is like Doc Holliday level cocky and good and fun. Like and like he got real into the gunplay and spent a lot of time spinning guns and shit. Like
That's
great.
a bold statement.
Don't believe that, David. Don't believe that.
Okay, yeah, I
don't
don't. But now I want to watch just to see
the rest
how
of
far
it's
from
not
the
as
truth
good.
that is.
Yeah, no.
I will say, here's the thing. So when I watched that movie, people were like, "Oh, it's a nod to the spaghetti western, and it's a nod, and it's like supposed to be
No, it's
cheesy and thing. It's supposed to be cheesy, and so like it has all the tropes of a western with the
doesn't.
close up in the eyes and all this shit there." And you go, okay. And then 20 years later, they come up with a movie called The Harder They Fall. And that movie did it correctly, where you go, oh, it still has all the tropes, yet it's not cheesy. This is what there's, you know what I mean? Like you can still give a tip of the hat, no pun intended, to the Western without making it bad. I'm just saying, man. I'm not a fan of the movie, but I'm not stealing anybody's pick. Everybody, you know,
It's all good, man.
I like Iron Man 2, bro. So I mean,
I like Iron Man 2 as well. It's same sort of feeling for me. It's like a real hard 3-star movie, right? I love a good like solid 3 out of 5 star movie where you're like, yeah, that okay, cool.
That was a movie.
I can let that go now and go on with my life. Well done, Leonardo. Well done. Sorry your dad shot you in the street.
I'm taking stock again and how I feel about Iron Man 2 now. Dave, what is your number 4?
It's not good.
My number 4 is the one where I mentioned his performance. I think is much better than the film as a whole, and it's The Great Gatsby.
Yes, that is one I eliminated because his performance is good, but the movie not good.
Yeah, I do like the movie. It's not that I don't like the movie, but me as a lover of literature and a lover of old films, I would much rather watch the Great Gatsby from, I think it was like 1936,
Redford,
or the 1970s Robert Redford one. I think those, I mean, each one, neither is perfect, but they all have their strengths. I think the Baz Luhrmann does a really good job of capturing the glitz and the glamour of that era. But I think no one does as good a job as DiCaprio does as at getting to the root of who Gatsby is, that like really tortured soul that we read in that novel. I mean, there's so many facets to Gatsby, and Redford's a fantastic actor. I love Robert Redford, but there's something about DiCaprio's performance that I just like. I buy it. That is Jay Gatsby.
You got to be soft looking to be Jay Gatsby, and I think that's Redford's like too handsome almost to really be Jay Gatsby. Like you've got that like boyishness, the naivete of the American dream as you stare at the green light. I've never seen the fucking movie. I've read the book a bunch of times though. Yeah, and like Leo can do that.
Remarkably accurate because that is what he does better. You're right. Soft is the right word. Soft is the right word. Like he's not a chiseled handsome.
I think Redford did a good Gatsby, but DiCaprio did a great Gatsby.
So
professional comedian, people.
The movie definitely has its faults. Like I can't get into the contemporary music played in like, you know, period 1920s jazz. It sucks me right out of the film. But
I'm all in. Jay-Z,
McGregor singing Beatles songs in Paris.
Jay-Z in the jazz club, man, all day.
You know, like when we were doing Wu-Tang, you were doing the cream. I have seen. Truth be told, Truth be told, I have seen maybe 30 or 40 minutes of that movie, and as is true with other Baz movies, it goes so fast. Like there's so much happening. You're like,
and
what
the whole time?
you're
just going in like a Luhrmann movie.
Yeah, Exactly. And so I remember watching about 40 minutes, and I just turned it off. I was like, I'm getting a headache. This is too much. It's too
Yeah,
much. It's
no,
too
and
much.
that's kind of what it's like, and it's beautiful in its own way because his cinematography
Oh, it's visually stunning.
yeah, visually. I mean, he's one of those filmmakers. He's a love him or hate him sort of guy, kind of like Wes Anderson, and I don't love him. I don't
With
love
you.
Baz Luhrmann's movies, but they are beautiful. I just don't enjoy watching them. But he
Right.
gets great performances out of his actors.
All right.
Fair enough.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I haven't seen that movie, so I can't judge that pick at all whatsoever because I've seen 30 minutes of it before I couldn't. So, but it definitely was not DiCaprio's fault. I say that.
No, no, no.
Stupid thing to try and make a movie out of is what it is. Anyway,
The Bono, what do
with
you got? for
beautiful
number four?
prose.
So,
Yeah.
the flip side of Dave's coin is my number 4, which is a movie where DiCaprio's performance was not the powerhouse that necessarily carried the film, although the movie itself carried his name. I am going to stick with the Baz Luhrmann train. My number 4 is Romeo and Juliet. And this is one where I can absolutely look at this movie and go, okay, this was, while he is Romeo and it's a Romeo and Juliet film, he is not even necessarily the greatest performance in that film.
Nope.
But
the
movie, yeah, no.
Mercutio,
Yeah,
Leguizamo
steals the fucking show.
Oh, dude,
Also
yeah,
Mercutio,
so does
yeah.
Tybalt. So does Tybalt.
Yeah,
but
Yeah,
you know,
Tybalt is another. Yeah,
Leguizamo's so good.
yeah.
You gotta understand the Bono. As good as Tibble was, you gotta understand as a Hispanic, David and I are like, we got one, we fucking got one, we got one.
But
That's our
this-
shit.
Then Boss made him be a drunk French poet.
But this
Can you hide
movie
your
is just
Hispanicness?
it's again, it's Baz Luhrmann. It's visually stunning. It's so much fun to watch. I remember when it came out, just being enthralled with this idea of taking Shakespeare and sticking with so much of the original dialogue while making it modern. He did exactly what he was supposed to do in that movie, in being, a 16-year-old who falls in love and over the course of 72 hours is willing to commit suicide. He pulled that off. But this is the one pick on my mountain where it's really the movie as a whole that I look at and I'm just so enamored with. It's a powerhouse cast, and it's not really it's not a ton of people that are still doing huge things or anything like that. But in those roles, everybody was so good, and to be the namesake of it. And to be the one who carries on the movie's legacy. I don't know how he looks back at doing it. I would like to think it's fondly, but it's fun to watch. Again, it's Baz Luhrmann, so it's beautiful to watch, and he does exactly what he has to do to make this movie work. And so, like I said, this is the one where it's not necessarily some grand performance by Leonardo DiCaprio, but that was one of the reasons I asked if we were just looking at roles or if I could view this as whole films, because as a whole film, I do think that Romeo and Juliet is incredible and he is the star of it. So
Was it Oscar nominated for him, wasn't it?
I honestly am not 100% sure.
It's so weird what he's been nominated for and not nominated for. It's
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
I mean, he should be
Yeah.
nominated for pretty much everything he does, but it's weird when he finally does win. You're like, that's what he won. Okay.
Yeah, I'll never
Sure.
ever be able to get over the fact that his first win was what it was with some of the other stuff that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
But anyway, like I said, it's just he does a great job in it. Everybody, he plays off of everybody else well, and he holds his own against the guy who plays Mercutio's name just suddenly escaped me. I know it's something French. And John Leguizamo is Tybalt, who absolutely steal that movie, but he does his own he does his part to hold his own against them, and it's a great movie. I still go back and watch this one.
I've never heard him talk one way or the other about, and pretty much, I don't think he does that a lot about
He's
talking.
a shark, man. He only moves forward.
Yeah, just move forward. That
It's the thing
Like, I've
about
never
sharks;
seen-
they don't have necks.
I know that he's
Parano.
in the past
Parano.
he has said something about Titanic that he did not have fun filming Titanic.
Cold all the time.
Yeah, but aside from that, I can't imagine him not having a good time in Romeo plus Juliet because he was in fucking Great Gatsby years later. Like,
Yeah,
You know
true
what I
enough.
mean?
Yeah, and I guess it is Romeo plus Juliet for this particular one. But yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's my number 4, Romeo plus Juliet.
Man, you and I are usually like pretty, right there when it comes to picks, and I always hated this movie, and I rewatched it again fairly recently, like just a couple months ago, and I gotta say, I only dislike it now. It's not.
Okay.
It's not as
Hey.
bad as I remember it being.
Well,
But
and
I do think that with the exception of Perino and Leguizamo, the acting is fucking atrocious. In
well,
this
and
movie.
look, and I mean,
In
and
20 more
there's
years, he may just think it's bad.
Yeah. Who knows?
And there's I will be one of the first ones to admit this is, I was 13 when this movie came out, and I had really just started to get into reading Shakespeare and being about it, and it was, and at the time that was like nothing I'd seen. I wasn't well versed in watching a lot of
Yeah,
Shakespeare.
that was a
so-
really cool interpretation.
yeah, so there is a lot of rose tinting to this pick, hence the
Yeah, but
reason
that's
it's
what
number
it
4.
started to. This is as somebody who was also that age and a theater kid in high school and a theater major in college and went to England and studied Shakespeare. Yeah, like a fucking full-fledged nerd. The like thing that it kicked off of people being like, yeah, hip hop, Shakespeare, let's get guns and like let's see like where we can. Yeah, dude, Shakespeare in a flash forward 15 years to me under a highway in Queens doing Shakespeare set in a punk club, and I was like, God damn it, Boz, this is your fucking fault.
I don't even think that that's the greatest crime that's committed against Shakespeare here. For me, it's that, and this is something that you see often, particularly in like the theater scene, right? Like those, like the drama kids in high school and all that stuff. Is Shakespeare is very nuanced, and oftentimes what actors fall into is that mistake of shouting all the lines at each other.
Oh, sure.
Like everyone's always at 11, and that's not Shakespeare.
No,
It is so nuanced. I mean, even like
It's,
changing from thou to you is like such a subtle change in how someone speaks to someone else. It's like his language is absolutely fucking beautiful and incredible.
mostly
also-
dick jokes, but yeah, it's good.
But there's a lot of that too, and that's
Also, now I
beautiful and
really want to
incredible.
see like Hamlet, but with Sid and Nancy. After you're talking about
It was Richard III that we were doing under a
Okay.
fucking highway in a fake punk club. Yeah, man, it was ridiculous.
I love the fact that Alex's geek level of geekness is like a D&D cube. There's so many sides to it. There's
so
like, oh,
Yeah.
you think he's gonna? You think he's just into fucking
This is
D&D?
about it.
My friend? No, my friend.
It's Shakespeare and
does
epic,
Shakespeare
epic
in dungeons
poetry.
with
Yeah.
dragons.
It's all the same shit. It's all It's all fucking like, I will fucking save the princess with a sword.
Yeah, that tracks.
Shit.
That tracks.
All right. So Romeo plus Juliet. My number 4 is I'll go with you know what, the way I'm deciding the order right now on the top is the movies I've seen the least amount of times. So that's just to find a way to do it. Is that my number 4 is J. Edgar. I thought this movie was great. I was very late to watching this movie. I didn't see this movie until I was already at home, which, going by the box office numbers, may have been the week after it came out. But I thought it was fucking phenomenal. And as someone who is a fan of U.S. history and likes to know all the dirty shit of U.S. history, not just the fucking glossy things that they feed us in history class, a lot of this information I already knew about J. Edgar. But I really fucking dug Clint Eastwood. Out of all people, you would think Clint Eastwood would be like, quote unquote protect J. Edgar's reputation. He did not.
No,
at all.
Dragged it.
And I fucking dug it, man. I dug it. I was all in for it, and Leo did what Leo does, man. And I think he was great. I love it.
And I think that that's the first movie that I mean, really Gatsby, I guess was, but that's the first movie that we're going to be able to talk about where not only is he the namesake of the movie, but like just became a historical figure like that we all know. And then you watch and suddenly him and this other person are indistinguishable.
Yeah. Yeah, he blended right into the character. It's fantastic. I've only seen the movie twice. Again, I was late to this party to begin with, so the first time I saw it was probably 2 years ago, and then again I saw it again last year. So I still have a month left to see it again, so that I could say I've seen it once a year since I've seen it. But I really enjoy this fucking flick. I'm a big fan of Clint Eastwood's movies. They're all kind of similar as far as the tone. He sets the tone rather similar in his movies. But I'm a fan of it. I'm a fan of it, man. I'm all
Loves
for
that
it.
one filter, man.
Yeah,
Loves
yeah. He
that
just
fucking
like,
sepia-ass filter.
What is it? A sepia blue filter? Yeah, give me that.
Whatever. Fucking under. Like he's like, I'm gonna put all my movies in an aquarium. All right.
Yeah.
It's just the
Selling
one
sold
filter
burgers in
he
an
shows up
aquarium.
on set with it and then takes it home and puts it under his pillow.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that shit about it's really all very similar tone and very similar, but it fucking works for him, man. Hey, man. So that's my number 4 is J. Edgar.
Oh, Jedgar.
Let me see here. Let me write this down. So the number 4s, for those of you at home, are Quick and the Dead, Great Gatsby, Romeo plus Juliet, and J. Edgar. J. Edgar. All right, let's move on to our number 3s.
Round 3.
3 is a magic number. Yes, it is.
All right, Alex.
Hell yeah. I kind of want, man. I mean, Gangs of New York. Gangs of New York is the answer. So with number 3. It is my third favorite of the 6 Leonardo DiCaprio movies that I've seen.
It's an honorable mention for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's a pretty good movie. It's long, it's fun. He's got a rabbit. Daniel Day-Lewis is there doing good stuff. John C. Reilly hits a guy with a stick. You know, like it's a lot of fun. So yeah, that's real. I mean, swear to God, I don't think I've seen it in, when did it come out? It's an old fucking movie.
2002 or something like that?
2 or 3. Yeah, and I probably haven't seen it since 2005. And I don't know. I took a bong rip and watched it in like a dorm commons room, and I was like, yeah, 2 coats. Fuck yeah. And so I thought it was pretty good. And Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. So I'm fucking chiseling him right there on the mountain, man.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's one of those movies that gets, because it's so long, it gets lost in the, like, I don't rewatch it as often, I guess, as I should. I know I don't like to speak for people, but this is Jeff's favorite, like I think it was his favorite Scorsese movie. I'm pretty sure it's his like favorite DiCaprio movie. If he was on here, I'm pretty sure he would put it on there. He loves Gangs of New York.
It's a good flick. I mean, the end is a little meh from, again, what I like, my hazy memories, but
no, it does taper.
That's Marty's problem, though.
Yeah,
Marty gets 3 hours, and they to the point where, like, with the last one, he just kept fucking going. Right? He just was like, "I'll make an 8-hour movie."
Put another cigarette break in the highway. Bad dad. We need another one of those in the movie.
Like Stephen King writes books. He just fucking keeps writing the goddamn thing, and you're like, Steve, just fucking make a decision.
I wonder how many times the editor go and tells him, "Hey, we don't need any more chapters. We're fine.
No, you're good.
We're fine.
No. The ghost's alive again. No,
Stephen King writes so much that in the latest Dark Tower book, he wrote himself into the book writing the book. Like that's how long and how much he keeps writing.
7th one, yeah, but yeah.
So Gangs in New York, man. I enjoyed the movie. I like other people's roles in that movie.
It's a Daniel Day-Lewis.
It's a Daniel Day-Lewis.
Let's be real.
I gotta be honest with you. He's not even the one that comes to mind. The one that comes to mind, and I'm really bad with names, so I apologize. What's his name? The dude that wins
Liam
the election. The dude that wins the election, and Daniel Day-Lewis ends up killing the butcher. Not the butcher ends up killing this guy because he won the election. The guy with the stick, with the club.
John C. Reilly.
Oh yeah, you're talking about John C. Reilly, right?
No, the other guy that
Brendan Gleeson.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
From our Irish actors movie,
which is also my number one. He was my number one pick for Irish actors. He was my number one pick. Yeah, he was. I fucking loved him, and to me, that's his. I mean, obviously, I get it. Daniel Day Lewis is a leading role. I get, but this
Cameron
guy
Diaz even chips in a fucking a hell of a good shot for her. She
for
seems
her.
like she's trying extra hard.
Yeah, she's.
She
Like,
usually is not.
I feel like she read every line. Like, don't fuck it up. Don't fuck it up. Don't fuck it up. Don't fuck it up.
Don't fuck it up. Daniel Day Lewis is looking at you. Don't fuck it up. Daniel Day Lewis is looking at you.
Why is that little Italian guy looking at you shouting? Oh, that's Marty. I'm sorry.
That's Marty.
All right,
Marty's like reading a book in the back.
whatever. It's cute. It's cute. What you doing, Cameron? Are you done with her? Second unit director. All right, Gangs in New York. Dave, what do you got for your number 3?
My number 3 is so I struggled on whether to put this at number 2 or number 3. But my number 3 is going to be Shutter Island.
That's the other movie that I haven't
seen it.
seen.
Hey, seen that one.
Seen it, not on my list.
Neri, you said you hadn't seen this one?
This is one of the 2 big movies of his that I have not seen.
And I think we talked about this when we did the Scorsese Mountain.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
He is dreamy in it.
Oh, super.
Yes.
And here's the problem. And I don't. People, it's my fault because it took me forever to watch the movie. But when we were talking about Martin Scorsese, when we did that episode, that mountain, I don't remember who or whatever, but it was alluded to that it had a quote unquote twist of an ending, and I was like, oh, so Leonardo DiCaprio's crazy. Like I just immediately, that's where I went to with that little bit of knowledge of it's a twist ending. I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but that's immediately where my mind went to it. And so it's kind of lessened my wanting to watch it until I'm hoping to one day walk in and somebody else is watching it. I'm like, oh, good. I'll sit down and watch it now. But it's just, I don't know. It's so very weird. My mind, I'm not saying it's
not a movie that you like want. This is what I was saying earlier about a lot of his movies. A lot of these, like, they're all fucking intense, man. I don't often, like, on a Saturday afternoon would be like, maybe I'll pretend to be chased by a bear this afternoon. Like, it's not like a,
this is a really intense one. And truth be told, this was the one that made me a fan of his. Before then, I often thought of him as just like a pretty boy actor. And I saw this movie and I left the theater, fully convinced that I needed to rewatch every DiCaprio movie I had ever seen because it needed to be reassessed. His performance as Teddy Daniels is just fucking standout, stellar. Like the movie itself is phenomenal. And even amongst all of the great performances in that movie with the great plot that's going on and Scorsese's amazing direction, he manages to stand out as like the real star of this movie. So,
who else is in the movie?
I
Plumber or it's Kingsley. Which one of those? It's one of those old dudes that I'd mix up all the time. It's somebody who had a Wonder Emporium or a Magoo.
It's Max von Sydow.
There you go.
Who does look an awful lot like
he did the What Dreams May Come. Yeah, he's one of these old dream
and it is
boys.
Ben Kingsley is also in
Thank you. Yeah, he's the head of the
Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo's in it as well.
Mark Ruffalo, he plays his partner.
The reason I'm asking is just the way you said it. You're like, oh, he came out as the star of the movie, and I'm like, I don't think someone who's never seen a movie, I'm like, is there like another star? I didn't know. Like,
Mark
Gangs of New York, he's not
not
against playing opposite huge, tremendous stars. That's why I was just asking the curiosity.
It was a big release, right? Like I remember it being a huge release.
It was
like,
a big deal.
It made $300 million in the box office,
and there were no gangsters in it, so it was like, oh, Marty's doing a different thing. Yeah.
Is that Scorsese's only horror movie, or Cape Fear? No, was that Scorsese's Cape Fear? No.
I think Cape Fear was Scorsese. Yeah.
Both psychological thrillers. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Shutter Island was good. And this probably not going to help your case about wanting to watch it, Neri. It just, I don't know. It didn't play out the way that not necessarily even the way that I thought it would, and that was disappointing. It just, it felt like there were pieces of the puzzle missing. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm dumb, but like when I watched it, like there were certain things that got put together at points that I was like, that doesn't make sense. Like, I feel like I'm missing something here. And that's not taking anything away from how great Leonardo DiCaprio did. It just hurt the movie to me.
Mm-hmm.
It gets real far.
Yeah.
Like it like Kubrick's out hard at the end. Where you're like, huh? What
Yes.
the fuck? What the shit? Yeah.
Oof. What Alex just said turned me off more than what the Bona just said. So like, I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
I'm with to clarify what that means, Alex, is I'm not cool enough for Kubrick. Like Kubrick shit. I'm just like, Kubrick shit. Everybody's like, isn't he genius? And I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, I don't get it. Like, I put that on me. That's not on Kubrick's fault.
I've read papers about, like, I understand why that they're important, but like, you could not pay me to sit down and watch that fucker not be able to get into that spaceship.
Oh fuck, that's like one of my favorite movies.
Oh, so good.
It's good and it's beautiful and it's important, but like, again, at no point does Matthew McConaughey pick up a fucking battle axe and jump into a dragon's face. This is what I'm looking for in a movie.
Alex, well, it's so funny because for a long time there was a running joke on this panel for a long time from David about me saying like, oh, the movie has to have 2 explosions.
That was not me who said that.
Well, it was a running joke. It was fine. Okay, it was a running joke. It wasn't. It's not. It's a joke.
It was a crew gimmick.
Yeah, it was a gimmick.
Well, you're attributing me with a joke I didn't create. I did feed into it. I did feed into it.
Shutter Island's got some explosions, I think. To be
sorry
fair.
if I gave you credit. I apologize for giving you credit for a joke. It was a running joke on the panel. I was all right with the running joke because for a lot of it, I do like movies with explosions. It's fine.
Yeah, I did.
But that is your version of that is dragons. Like, is there a dragon in the movie?
Or like, sword fight, please. No. Okay. Well,
the more black and white and smoke there is on screen with the only light coming in through like Venetian blinds there are,
sure.
The more I'm into it.
Yeah.
Here you go.
We get real niche around here.
The less talking there is any film, the more David is up for it. Is it a talkie?
Is it a talkie?
What year? All right. So Gangs in New York, Shutter Island. The Bono, what do you got for your number 3?
Maybe not too much build up here because it might get tabled. My number 3 is Catch Me If You Can. Okay.
I will catch you
really
right now.
Oh, okay.
No,
Excellent.
I'm not. This is not my pick. I'm saying there's no table for this shit. So,
okay, excellent. Catch Me If You Can is a movie that it is long, and it's all story, but it's so good. And his portrayal of Frank Abagnale, I believe is how it's pronounced. He's such. It's again like with J. Edgar. You watch him become a person who actually exists. And the thing that makes him stand out so much in this movie is the fact that he holds his own when the other person that he's acting with is Tom Hanks. Granted, they're not on screen all that much together, but the movie is both of them, and it's equally memorable, both of their roles in everything that they did. And that takes a lot of balls, man, to stand up there and go toe to toe and be a name that people are going to remember in a movie with Tom Hanks. He does such a good job of making you feel sympathetic for this guy who is a criminal, in every sense of the word. Everything he does is illegal. The man is a criminal, but you're always
violent crime.
Huh?
This America, dude.
No,
you're talking about the country that was like Bonnie and Clyde.
Murder. Oh, I know. But that's what I'm saying, right? It's the charisma that it takes to sell somebody on this, and the charisma that it takes to be a successful con man. And I bought it. This movie in of itself is a con, right? And the fact that, or all movies are, I guess, but you're so invested in what he's doing.
I agree. That's great. Like all art is just emotional manipulation.
But I thought you were gonna freak Alex out right now. You're like, oh, all movies are con. He's like, what do you mean?
What?
I like movies with dragons.
What do you mean?
But it's just you're always sympathetic to his plight. You're always rooting for him to stay one step ahead of Tom Hanks. You're always wondering, well, that first time that I watched Catch Me If You Can, I was like, what else could this guy possibly have up his sleeve? And bam, he's got something else for you. And you're always like, oh, that is so fucking rad. Like that's such a cool thing. When he soaks the airplanes, like pull the stickers off and put them on the checks, all that stuff. I mean, it's a great movie. It's a lot of fun to watch. It's exciting. Like there's a couple of chase scenes, some escapes. So there's a little bit of action to carry what is an incredible story. And he kills it in this movie. It's unreal. I love Catch Me If You Can.
I love that movie. I love that movie a lot. I've watched that movie a lot. I just don't think that he is the best actor in that movie. I don't think he might be the second best actor in that movie because Christopher Walken gives a fucking hell of a performance. He steals the show in the two scenes that he's in. I thought Christopher Walken did great. But you're right, the movie's great. I very much enjoy Catch Me If You Can. I think it's a very underrated, both Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio movies. When you talk about Tom Hanks movies, this one seldomly comes up, and Leonardo DiCaprio movies, I got to be honest with you, I did not expect this to come up tonight, but it's a very good movie. I very much enjoy the movies. Yeah. So
there we go. So my number 3, Catch Me If You Can.
He went and he played. What I like about him in Catch Me If You Can is he played a wide age group. He went from a child, basically, where he was sitting up front and the fucking captains, and he was taking shit.
Yeah.
And he portrayed that very well as a fucking young kid who's way over his head, playing a pilot. And then he got older and he wanted to get married and all that jazz. So
there's a lot of range. There's a lot of movie like that. One of the other things, and Alex has brought it up, man, that the dude loves to sign on to a solid 250 minutes. Like,
oh yeah.
He produced this one too. He produced Catch Me If You Can. By the way,
I think it was the first one he produced.
It was a big deal.
He produced this movie, and it's funny because it's him and Spielberg, and Tom Hanks has said that since he's such good friends with Spielberg, he kind of just hung around he just kind of hung around, so like he kind of invited himself onto the movie. And then they're like, oh, yeah. Like the way it's the way Tom Hanks tells a fucking anecdote. It's a great, it's whatever. But the way he made it seem as if he was just like, I just kind of bullied my way in. Like I just hung around until they were like, so you're in this movie? And he's like, yes. Yes, I am. And who knows what this, but just that's a great fucking story regardless. So
good irony. And then he had to catch the con man the whole time.
Yeah.
Catch Me If You Can. All right. My number 3 is arguably his man. I mean, I honestly believe he deserved the fucking Oscar for this one as well. Again, my order is only going based upon how many times I've seen the movies, and the other movies I've seen more than this. But my number 3 is The Departed.
Oh man,
that's my missed it by this much pick, man.
Yeah, I was between Gatsby and Departed.
Missed it by that much.
Yeah, I fucking adore The Departed. Again, only my number 3 based upon I rank all these movies as good as the next one. I haven't seen it as many and I've seen The Departed quite a fucking few. It just goes to show you how many times I've seen my number 2 and my number 1. But fuck, The Departed is so good, man. Everybody's acting is phenomenal. When you have Mark Wahlberg acting well, it's very impressive.
A lot of work.
He's one of those guys, man.
When
you like put him in a Paul Thomas Anderson movie and surround him by a bunch of fucking really good actors, like he'll step up.
Yeah. I guess he plays to the level of talent that he's put up against.
Right, like put him in a movie with The Rock and Anthony Mackie. You get a movie with The Rock, Anthony Mackie.
That movie was fucking awesome.
No, dude, I absolutely have nothing against Pain and Gain. I really don't.
That movie was really fucking.
I really have nothing against that movie. It was just the first one that popped into mind when I was thinking of the people around.
You could have thought about Transformers. You could have thought
about.
Yeah,
I was going to say, go Transformers on that, man.
There's a lot of other ones. But yeah. So, The Departed is a phenomenal movie. The Departed is one of my handful pocket go-to movies when somebody goes, I don't fucking like remakes. And I'm gonna go, oh, man, you don't like The Departed? Like I just fucking throw that shit out there. And The Departed, you know, like, and I just start throwing out. There's like 4 or 5 amazing movies that happen to be remakes that people don't know that they're remakes because the originals are either in a foreign language or happen in like 1927. So only David knows that it's a fucking remake. So like I throw like The Departed is one of those like. Oh, you don't like The Departed? The Departed is not a remake, and I'm like, well, just because it didn't come out in your country during the time of your childhood doesn't mean it's not a fucking remake. So but it's so good. It's so phenomenal. I remember
Uncultured
watching.
swine.
Yes, thank you, sir. I remember watching The Departed, and while I'm watching The Departed, saying this is Marty's best work since Goodfellas, and I love Goodfellas so much that I have a fucking framed movie poster in my living room of Goodfellas, and so that's high remarks coming from me. And I remember as I'm watching The Departed, going like, "This is the best Scorsese film since The Departed." It's fucking bonkers good. It's so good on so many levels. Uh, and it feels like it was written by R.R. Martin, just in the fact that everybody dies. Like,
Yeah.
like what
Yeah.
the fuck? Jesus,
You're never trusting or rooting for the right
Yeah.
people.
ever. Yeah. So but I very much enjoyed The Departed. Very much enjoyed Leonardo DiCaprio's role in Departed. He played something very not that he has a type, but it's easy, like what David said earlier. But like, oh, it's easy to pigeon or to think of him, to hate on him as a quote unquote pretty boy actor. But he was not that dude at all. And not that he's that dude ever really, but he's definitely not that dude in fucking The Departed, man. I love that. I mean, it was great. All right, so number 3s were Gangs of New York, Shutter Island, Catch Me If You Can, and The Departed. I like the fact that we have 3 Martin Scorsese movies as our number 3.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to number 2.
Round 2.
Dose, the sequel to Uno.
All right.
Can I just point out that if you just catch it out of the corner of your eye, it looks like this guy's in like outside my window staring at us.
Not a bad dude to have staring at you.
Hey, which ones you pick? What do you like? Yeah.
For the audio listeners, if you want to know what the bonus talking about, go and check us out at our Facebook page or our YouTube page, and it's everything is /MtGeekmore. Actually, the YouTube is Geek Bro. That's the YouTube now. So anyways, check it out. Check out the videos, man. We got some gnarly check out these porn links on our YouTube comments. Phenomenal. I almost put them up so that the screen can see it, and I was like, no, what if that's the one time you catch a virus? I'm like, fuck that. So but it was fun. All right, number 2 is Alex, bro. What do you got for your number 2, man?
Oh man, also a remake, kind of. Also another big shit Hollywood director, and in a movie where like
Did we lose him?
Oh,
he is
hello?
not the star in Django Unchained. Is he so fucking good? Is he so unbelievably good? Yeah, I figured.
Yeah, we're gonna table that. The Django. All right.
God damn.
The D is silent.
Dave, what do you got?
My number 2 is his second collaboration with Quentin Tarantino, and it's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. His performance as Rick Dalton is just chef's kiss. I mean, so fucking good. I think he's channeling Steve McQueen here. I'm not 100% certain, but oh my god, it really does look like he's peeking out your fucking window.
Right? Like I just keep barely just huh?
Who's that peeking in my window?
It doesn't help that I'm halfway through like midnight mass right now, and there's always a thing staring in the window, so it's really messing with my head.
Yes, I mean the movie itself is fucking stellar. Like I love this movie. I watched it very shortly after it came out, and immediately watched it again. So it kind of had that effect on me. I hadn't been that into a movie as a whole since Inglorious Bastards, and so I'm clearly a big Tarantino fan, and I just think he out of everyone in there, and there were so many good performances, but I think that he really was the standout there. I mean, and you can look at anyone in this movie and say, yeah, but what about this actor? I mean, Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate was, fucking amazing. Brad Pitt was fucking awesome. I mean, everyone was really, really great, but he plays that, like, burned out, on his last leg actor so well. And like it's tragic, but it's endearing, and you love him, but you kind of hate who he's become. And by the time he straps on that flamethrower at the end and it just fucking goes to town, you're just like, fucking yeah, man, like this I've been waiting for this, because I know you're a badass, right? And there's no stunt doubles here, it's just you. And he fucking blew me away. I love this movie so much. I love him in it, and I just think it's perfect.
There's something about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that just didn't work for me. And I love Tarantino, and I get what he was going for with that movie, but there was something. DiCaprio's performance, I absolutely agree with you, was great. But the reason that I couldn't pick this one is, man, I just didn't like that movie. And it wasn't even that it was just, it wasn't even that it was like, I don't look at it and be like, that was a bad movie. I just look at it and it's one of those things like Billie Eilish music, right? Like, I get it. It's just not for me.
Kubrick.
Yeah, I got you. And you're not alone.
That's how I feel about Kubrick, where everybody's like, this guy's genius. And I'm like, okay, no, everybody must be right. I can't be the one that's right, and everybody, like, it's not like I'm not, there's no way I'm that naive to be able to be like, no, I'm right and everybody else is wrong.
Not everything's for everybody.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, I'm wrong on this one.
I think this one's a little bit more divisive than Kubrick. Like, Kubrick, I think you'll find many more people that will say they at least appreciate his work, even if they can't get into it. I did find, I was surprised that there were so many people that I knew who said, well, yeah, it was a good movie, I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, and I think that's where I kind of land. Like, I can look at it and I can look at all the pieces and be like, yeah. But then when I watch it, I was just bored.
That's okay. So that's what I'll say. I think it's a good movie. I don't think that personally, I don't see where it was the movie that everybody was talking about. Like, I don't like where everybody else, including critics, was like, oh my God, what a masterpiece. And I was like, oh, I must have seen the wrong. Did I see the right? Like, I don't know. And I'm not saying anything. I'm not trying to say anything negative about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I'm like, oh, I thought it was a good movie, but I would rank it in the lower part of Tarantino's films, in my opinion, again. And I'm just like, oh, but I'm fully aware that because everybody else is saying it the other way, I'm like, I must be wrong. It's fine. Yeah. I'm okay with being wrong. It's fine. But I will say Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, both of their acting is just fucking really stellar in this. But Leo's acting, when he is portraying an insecure actor, so much so that when a little child tells him that was the best acting I've seen, and he starts fucking bawling, crying out of pride, it's like, it's a comical, but in a sad way. Like, it's very well done. That acting, that scene specifically, he's dressed up as a cowboy with a ridiculous mustache and the whole thing. And the fact that he's crying because a child actor said that's the best acting I've ever seen. He's like, she's acted for 3 years, Leo. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, why do you care what this little child says? But it, like, that goes to show you the insecurities of an actor and the insecurities of the particular person that he's playing. And I was in it. And
he's really good about letting the exact right amount of Leonardo DiCaprio slip through almost every role. Again,
Yeah, I think there was some
I don't know. He
honesty
didn't talk
there.
about climate control in this one, so I don't know. If that,
well, the exact
That's
right
what he was
amount,
thinking
right?
about when he
He
was
kept that
crying.
shit in the back burner.
Right.
maybe
Yeah,
when he thought about when he was crying, he was like, "The fucking ozone layer." And he was just,
that's the place he goes to when he has to cry on screen.
he was like, "What you're doing to the ozone layer? Fire up my pirate jet."
So are we getting these comments because we talked about Pornhub so much? Is that what's going on here?
They should be deleted already. I deleted them.
There's 3 new ones.
Oh shit! No, it's funny. You know, it's funny because I blocked the user. It says block user, and I blocked the user.
Yeah, I see it here. It says was blocked.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, like
I
I
like
said,
the fact that it gives me StreamYard gives me the option of put user in timeout, which is hilarious.
Just sit in the corner. We're talking about Quentin Tarantino movies. Nothing
that
pornographic.
that one's on my Pornhub algorithm too.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's because of that. We thought we made jokes about Pornhub, and that's it. That's it. What happened. More followers. Imagine having more followers. That's crazy. But I'm sure we're gonna get comments now. Get more followers by clicking on this link. So yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think it's a good movie. I've only seen it one time though. I'm not gonna lie and say I've only seen it one time. Aside in theaters.
Me too.
Aside in theaters, one of my favorite memories about that movie specifically is that I knew the history of Shannon Tate. I knew that, and so when they changed that in the movie, I was one of the last people to leave the theater. It wasn't even a full theater to begin with, but I was one of the last people to see it to leave. And then because I was waiting for the end credits, because Marvel has trained me to sit through the fucking end credits, and so I was leaving, and there was 2 older women leaving, and I said to them, I go, "Oh man, they rewrote history, huh?" And they go, "Yeah, I would say." And then one of the ladies was like, "This is one of my fucking favorite things that I don't know why I said this, but I did." She said, "Oh, but how would you know? You're too young for that." Like she said that like if it's impossible to know things that happened prior to you fucking being alive. And I was like, and I chuckled and I go, "God bless you." I said, "Bless your heart." But no, I'm 65. and I had a bit more of a beard, and I did have a bit more of a beard, but I was like 65. Like, what? Shit, you're 65. She's like, "Yeah, whatever." And right now, gun to head, you could ask me what years were you born. If you were born in 1965, I would not fucking know. But I don't know if it was the adrenaline or what the fuck. I was like, "Yep," and I just blurted out the fucking year, of which when I went to my car, then did the fucking math and go, "Oh yeah, that fucking right. That checks out. That fucking checks out." Like that's how dumb I am, specifically with math. But yeah, I remember
I like
that was
that
one of
you
my.
checked it.
Yeah, I checked it.
I checked my goof's math.
I checked it afterwards. But the funny thing is, that was my favorite part about that movie. My favorite memory of that movie is convincing these 2 clearly older than me women by a lot, by 30 years. And I was like, I'm 65. And they're like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "Yeah, I remember that one. I remember when it happened, when that story happened. It was horrible." I was just fucking talking like, all right.
Well, that was one of the things that for me took me completely by surprise, because as a lover of old Hollywood and cinema, I obviously know about the Sharon Tate murder. I mean, I've read Helter Skelter, so I know all about the Manson murders, and so I'm watching this movie, and I know where this is heading. Like, okay, I know I know that she has to die. And then when that doesn't happen, very much like in Inglourious Basterds, when you see Goebbels and Hitler get blown away, I'm like, holy fuck, what alternate reality am I living in, and how can I get there? Like that was part of that adrenaline rush for me. And I think
I was very nervous. I was very nervous watching. That's one thing about Tarantino. He was able to pull, especially in that movie. Now that I think about it, when Brad Pitt went to that trailer, he was able to pull that fucking suspense. He was able to pull that uneasy feeling in a moviegoer. And that I remember when that whole thing happened, the breaking in, and I'm like, "Oh my god, she's fucking pregnant. Am I really about to see a fucking pregnant woman get stabbed like on screen? Am I really?" Because I know how violent Tarantino movies tend to be, and when there was no violence up into that part, I was like, "Oh no."
He's got to make up for it.
I'm about to see a pregnant woman get fucking stabbed in her belly, dude. I'm like, this is not. And then when it didn't happen, I was like, "Oh, I mean, I guess. Weird. What does that say about me? But yeah, you're right, man. You're right, Dave. That was now it makes me want to go watch it again. Fuck, I should go watch that shit again. When's the next time I have 6 hours?
Yeah, I saw it kind of as a celebration of old Hollywood more than anything else, and like sort of plot be damned sort of thing, which I rarely do.
Yeah.
But I normally like to like nitpick plot and things like that,
Historical
and
plot.
especially when it comes to historical things. You and I have had many a debate about Bruce Lee and films based on Bruce Lee and
Quick
stuff like that.
question. Speaking of which, how did you feel about
See,
the portrayal of Bruce Lee
I
in this film?
absolutely loved it. I thought that was fairly accurate to some of the accounts that
Stories,
we have
yeah.
of Bruce Lee. There are some where he's very humble and very much not the guy that we see portrayed in that movie. And then there are other accounts where it was like, nah, he was kind of an asshole, and
He was cocky.
he was cocky, and that's who we see there. And I think that for the purpose of the movie, that worked incredibly well, and the guy was just fucking outstanding.
The guy was nuts. Yeah, it was awesome.
He was in Shanghai soccer. All right. It's a joke. It was a joke. They had a Bruce Lee impersonator in Shanghai soccer. That's right.
Okay.
Not Shanghai. Was it Shanghai soccer?
Shaolin soccer.
Shaolin soccer.
God, man, I fucked up that joke.
I never got around to that one.
Well, you're not missing much. You're fine.
And that's why I never got around to it.
Deborah, what do you got, man? Number 2.
My number 2 is Inception.
I love that movie.
This is one that is
I knew
again.
you were gonna say that.
It's, but did it was it his own thought? This is one that is long, but I've seen a lot of times. This is a movie that I have watched over and over again because the performances are amazing. Leonardo DiCaprio does such a good job as this tortured guy trying to make right with his kids and with his past as this guy who does this type of work. But it also is just, I mean, there's so much to it, and so many times you want to go back and watch and pull things out, and he does such an excellent job as the leader of this crew of misfits for the most part, and he the world building and everything, and you get to see him as in the teacher role when he's with what is his name now, Ellen Page at the time. And you get to see him in this teacher role and guiding her through it, and you get to see him as this dad who just wants nothing else but to get his kids back, and you get to see him as a son who is a disappointment to his own father in some rights. And you get so much out of this character. Bad husband. And
or at least guilt-ridden husband, at least.
Yeah, and just constantly trying. He's trying to fix so many wrongs in his past, and it can all boil down to doing this one job right. And all of the work that he puts into portraying all of these different things, and this guy who's just trying to set things straight because so many things in his life have gone wrong. And it doesn't hurt that it's a Nolan film and you're never 100% sure exactly what just happened or what's going to happen next. But there's an amount of solace in his role in that movie, and he, in a way, his role in that movie becomes the movie's totem. Like as far-fetched and as stretched as things get in that movie, he's always the piece that you can go back to center yourself. And he does so much to sell that role. And and he's a badass in it. Like in that first scene when he's walking through like it's like a temple, right? And it's like an Asian temple, and he's shooting the people with the sniper shots and catching the shells as they fly out of the gun. Like just some great little badass moments in that. You get so much out of him. It's such an incredible film. This is one that I have watched. The only one on my mountain I've seen more than this one is my number 1. And it's just, I was I was blown away at how good he was in this movie, because while I liked him going into this movie, I wasn't 100% sold on him doing an action film. Granted, it's a Nolan action film, so it's going to be a thinker, but I wasn't 100% into. I was like, I really want to see this. It's a Nolan film, but I just don't know if DiCaprio is going to pull off this badass Liam Neeson type role. And he smokes it, man. Just does an incredible job with it.
Yeah, it's a great. This is one of those movies that I didn't appreciate as much as I should have the first couple times I saw it, and then rewatching it. I'm not a fan of movies that end when they, however you feel it ends. Like, no, what the fuck? I'm not the director. You tell me how it fucking ends. Like, I'm
Stanley.
Didn't somebody pay you to tell me how this movie ends?
You made a good
do all the
fucking
work.
chunk of change. What the fuck? Oh, it's how you. Oh, fuck. I'm not the biggest fan of that, but the I would say the third go around is when I finally go, oh, is when I appreciated the movie for everything else aside from the ending. The ending is really still not my favorite thing, but it is what it is, you know.
It's like that Steve Harvey bit where he's talking about the rappers telling everybody to scream.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I paid to be here. You scream.
One mic. All right, so that is the bonus number 2. My number 2 is also the Django. So we'll talk about that a little later, I guess. All right. So the number 2s were the Django, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Inception, and the Django. Honorable mentions. Honorable mentions. You were a favorite, but you missed it by
that much.
that much. Honorable mentions. Star. All right, Alex, what's the other Leonardo DiCaprio movie?
You guys
have
want to know
in
the
your
other 2 Leonardo DiCaprio movies I've seen?
Sure.
Let's see. What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
Right.
which we said I spent a whole lot of time in high school going matching the gas tank, and it's it's a sad ass movie, and he's really good. Again, Oscar nominated, didn't win. And what's the other one? I don't know, some other movie he was in. Oh, fucking The Aviator. I saw that one. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I really enjoy The Aviator.
He
Dave?
becomes the person that's real.
There you go.
Trying to win an Oscar so hard, Leonardo.
We actually have spoken about, I think, all of them. Departed, Inception, Gangs of New York. Revenant was the other one that I had on my list. I mean, we made fun of it at the beginning, but I think it really does give a stellar performance. It's not that I don't think it's not Oscar worthy. I just think he should have won an Oscar for other films as well. So, I think when people, come down on it for like, oh, that's the one he won an Oscar for. It's like, no, it was fucking fantastic, but there were others that should have come before it. So, those are my honorable mentions.
Okay. The Bona?
Blood Diamond does a great job in that one. I recently rewatched Titanic for the first time in a very long time, and now that I'm not just like a kid who's like, I don't care anything about this love story. Like I watched it and I enjoyed Titanic more this rewatch recently. So just has to be mentioned. And then I guess that was all of them. Yep. Oh, Revolutionary Road was the other one. He does a very good job in that movie. Very, very, very sad movie. But very well put together.
See an inspirational coach in that one?
No.
What goes on in that one? Oh, then I don't care. Leo should be an inspirational coach. I would enjoy watching him get a ragtag bunch of misfits to fucking win the championship. That'd be a good time.
Ben Affleck did it last year and it was fucking amazing.
Always a good time.
Titanic. I saw I resaw it again last year for the first time in probably 20 years. At the beginning of quarantine. Very much like you said, Devon, I enjoyed the fuck out of that movie, and it's very much 2 separate movies, and there's a clear when this movie becomes something else. There's a love story that takes about an hour and 40 minutes of this movie, and then there's a fucking disaster movie that takes the other hour and 40 minutes.
When you
And
put the
two don't
second
really,
VHS tape in.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah.
The two don't.
When you've got to turn the DVD over.
Yeah,
There's no real Venn diagram. It's fucking split really down the middle. Like you could say it's still, it continues to be a love
And then
story.
they sung
throughout.
separately.
Yeah, they sung separately. It doesn't. No, it's fine. So that one, The Man in the Iron Mask. I know I'm for a long time.
Tabled.
Oh man, I love that movie.
Okay.
Okay.
Talk about that later. And then The Aviator we talked about. Body of Lies gets really like never spoken about because it
I've
just
never
doesn't.
seen
It's Ridley Scott and it's fucking Russell Crowe and with Leonardo DiCaprio. Even though they don't have scenes face to face together, because one plays a field operative and Russell Crowe plays a guy that's in his ear telling him his orders and commands. But it's very good. So those are my honorable mentions. Everything else we've already spoken about. So, all right, let's move on.
Round 1.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back.
Do it! Do it! Come on! Come on!
All right, Alex, what is your number one?
Well, I just tipped my hand, but man, I thought we were gonna get all the way here without anybody mentioning it at all, which kind of made me happy. First of all, a lot of sword fighting in this one, just so much sword fighting, and The Man in the Iron Mask was the movie that shattered my brain with how good of an actor he is. The brothers, how different the two, playing two characters both that well, and the scene where he acts with himself that well, and he's got the mask and he's putting it on and he's trying it on and he can't handle it, and again, talk about a kid who is the hot new thing, standing toe to fucking toe with Jeremy Irons and John Malkovich and Gabriel Byrne and Gerard Depardieu. I mean, that movie is stacked. And then the chick from Burn Notice. No, my bad. That's the Disney Three Musketeers that she's in.
With Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Kiefer Sutherland.
That fucking movie, dude. Talk about
Sutherland.
Talk about a fucking big budget, soft 3-star movie. So much fun. Oliver Platt.
Platt, there it is. I was like,
God
who's
damn.
the other one? Yeah.
Oliver Platt is Disney Gerard Depardieu. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, man, The Man in the Iron Mask. I love a musketeer flick. Anytime we've got a bunch of good dueling going on and
some good sword fighting.
Great
good
sword fighting
going on down there.
And the end is ridiculous. And plot, it's not a great movie at all, but it was one of those that I watched as in high school. When I was I'm gonna be an actor. And man, I was just fuck, this guy's good. Yeah.
Never mind, this guy's gonna get all the roles.
God damn it. I guess I'll grow a big beard. I'm not quite as pretty as this man. Yeah.
I just love any logic where you're I want to be an actor. Oh, but Leonardo DiCaprio's out there. I guess I won't be an actor.
It inspired me. I was I can do this too. I'll be in a movie where I play all the movies, but mine would be it'd be terrible.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Man in the Iron Mask. Rewatched this movie again last year for the first time in a long time. I'm a big fan of it. Michael Jordan, we found out during The Last Dance, during a documentary, The Last Dance, we found out Michael Jordan was a big fan of the Man in the Iron Mask, because that's the year that Man in the Iron Mask came out. And after one of their games, Michael Jordan said hi to Leonardo DiCaprio and hugged him, and it was hey man, you were great, and the Iron Mask, it was great. I was what the fuck? That's
what a weird fucking moment in time.
Yeah, that's historians are gonna look back on that moment as a pinnacle of really just American society as a whole.
The world could have exploded right then. Jesus,
it's like Neo and Agent Smith.
Yeah.
Touching.
Yes, that was right then. That was when the Bernstein Bears, Mandela effect, all of them just fucking exploded the second Michael Jordan looked at Leonardo DiCaprio.
That was the creation of our multiverse.
Yeah, that was the shattering of the Nexus right there. It was over.
Yeah, Man in the Iron Mask. I'm with it, man. I like it.
Good.
Dave.
My number one, I already tabled. It's Django Unchained. and I'm pretty sure this is the one that Daniel you were
Yes.
talking about earlier.
The exact one.
He has a not so big role in this movie, comparatively speaking. I mean, he's got a starring role in every other one. This is definitely Jamie Foxx's movie. However, he steals the show in every single scene that he's in.
Whew.
I mean, this is, in my opinion, the best performance of his career. I don't know that there will ever be another quite like this for him. I mean, and I don't even see, and he has played bad guys in the past, and yet this for me, I mean, it's just it's a different level of evil. It's diabolical, and he's so good. I mean, the scene where he smears the blood on Kerry Washington is just one
His
of those,
actual blood, the real blood.
yeah, his
from his hand
actual blood.
that
I
he
mean,
actually like just kept fucking rolling. That's the Marlon Brando shit, man. That's
yes,
some
yes.
fucking
But good
It's-
Marlon Brando, not
yes, not
not
the
Dr.
score
Monroe,
Marlon Brando.
not
No,
Dr. Monroe, Marlon Brando.
That's like real method acting there. Like he was so in the moment. Like that was Calvin Candy. That
Yeah.
was not DiCaprio making a choice and saying, yeah, like I'm bleeding right now, so maybe I should do this. Like that was Calvin
He was
Candy saying,
there.
like I just cut my head. You want to see this? Feel it. Like, oh fuck, it was so good. I mean, and the movie is just so fucking badass, so it's not like it's a great performance from him and the movie's just kind of okay. I think that I've rewatched this movie multiple times, and each time I love it more and more, and I keep picking up on little things there. Christoph Waltz is fucking incredible in this movie.
Is he in the
in the same like 15 minutes of the movie, man, when Christoph Waltz like turns around and shoots him like that, like he's just Christoph Waltz isn't there, man. Like that's the character. He's just that. Fuck me, that movie's good.
Fucking Musketeers comes back around. Right?
Yeah.
Full circle moment. We talk about Musketeers. I'm with. It was my number 2. I love the Django. I thought it was a phenomenal movie. It's so weird because another topic that we threw out for future episodes is supporting actors that steal the show, and
this would probably be my number 1.
Yeah, whether we did this whether we did the Leonardo DiCaprio topic or at one point we'll do that topic too. But this Django's gonna be up there. He steals the fucking show, and that's nothing against Jamie Foxx and his baby arm that's coming up out of his fucking legs. Jesus Christ, guy, it looks like he has a fucking baby arm holding an apple. God bless Katie Holmes. And then, like Christoph Waltz is another supporting actor who stole the show in this very movie. But that's to say that Leo's in this fucking. Yeah, he's balling out. I think
it's
one
iconic,
of his best
man.
performances.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it's not like it's a minor role either. I mean, he is the antagonist. It's just it's definitely
like saying
not
Darth
his
Vader's
vehicle.
a fucking like co-star.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. No, I mean it's and Vader is the star of Empire Strikes Back, even though
Barely
it is
in
Luke
the first one.
Skywalker's movie. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I kind of that's how I feel about this.
And
it isn't his movie, but it is.
Dude, and I can't disagree with you at all. Like I said, it was just in an effort to narrow this list down. That was the one thing that the one reason I was like, well, it's not really like his movie. Let me write off Calvin Candy. It just made it easier for me to make my picks because you're right. He's absolutely phenomenal in that role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great. He's fantastic. It is what it is. He's fucking Leonardo DiCaprio. Like it's one of those things. Like I feel like doing his mountain is like every role that we mentioned he could have earned an Oscar, and I don't think anybody would have batted an eyelash like about any one of these movies. Like nobody would have been like, "What the he won?"
Yeah,
for Django. Yeah, you're fucking right. Yeah,
of course he did.
Oh, really? He fucking won for like, it's because he smeared blood. Which, by the way, can't do that now with COVID. if he would fucking smear blood on another actor's fucking like real blood on another actor's face, that would be a cause for shutting the whole situation down.
Yeah.
Like there's gonna be a shutdown for 2 weeks. It's like, did you just put real blood on somebody else's face? Are you out of your fucking mind? But you know, this was fucking the crazy times of 2011.
Back in
I don't
the
even know what
day.
year it came out. I'm just guessing it around 2011. All right, so
about
Django
right.
Unchained.
right.
The Bona, what do you got?
My number one, the movie I've seen of his the most captivated I've ever been by Leonardo DiCaprio in a role as Jordan Belfort in The Wolf of Wall Street.
Sure.
This movie as a whole, I mean, just going back, it was our fourth Scorsese film, right? That we've talked about, but just, I mean, going into this movie, I didn't know anything about the real life person, Jordan Belfort. When I went into The Aviator, I knew about Howard Hughes. When I watched J. Edgar, I knew about J. Edgar Hoover. I didn't know anything about Jordan Belfort. Like that whole like Wall Street life is just something that's so far and away from anything I ever imagined myself in or could picture myself in, that it was, I knew nothing about this. And I was enthralled. And I have seen this movie so many times. My wife and I saw this in theaters, like the weekend it came out. We bought it on Blu-ray as soon as it came out. We would just watch it like every weekend. We would, it's like kids are in bed, let's watch Wolf of Wall Street and have a couple drinks. And I mean, it's just, he's so good as he's the protagonist antagonist, right? Like he's his own worst enemy.
He's the anti-hero.
I mean, that's
he's the Venom of this movie.
Yeah, like it's his movie, and he's a bad guy, and then like a really bad guy, but like so good at being a bad guy, and like, and he's so incredible at all the things he does. And man, for me, so much of it, every time I watch it, the scene that gives me chill bumps, man, like when he's giving his resignation, and then just that switch flips. He's like, you know what? I'm not fucking leaving. Yeah, and like and everybody's going nuts, and he's banging the microphone into his head and everything like that. Like it's just it's so good, and it's such a fun ride from beginning to end, from just like this guy who starts off in Wall Street right before a major crash and then has to build himself back up from nothing.
Penny stocks.
Yeah, they surround him with a bunch of decent actors, and they all do their jobs well.
Decent actors. What do you have? Fucking Shane, what are you fucking talking about?
yeah.
You just throwing around the word decent. Are you kidding me? Fucking, this is Jonah Hill. Jonah Hill's at his.
Yes, no. Jonah Hill was absolutely incredible in this. But going into this movie, Jonah Hill was just like, oh, it's a kid from Superbad, right? Like, right. I mean, like looking back on it now, yeah, you go, Jonah Hill was incredible in this. But when I walked into it, it was like, really? Jonah Hill? Like, I don't even remember this before or after Moneyball, but it was just like, I don't know.
It was Jonah's third skinny, so I think it was
disaster.
That's how the timeline of Jonah Hill was like. Was it his second skinny or no? It was his fourth fat. So it must have been after Money. Okay,
but I mean, it's just it's a wild ass ride. I mean, and just. From beginning to end, you see the rise, the fall, and then it ends with what looks like it could be another rise, right? And you're stuck at the end wondering, like, shit, like, am I rooting for this guy to do this again? Like for everything that he did. Then again, Wall Street crime, right? Like we were talking about, we said earlier, like, this is America, sir. The bad guys are often, like the top money. People,
fuck,
right? Yeah,
poor people.
Yeah, exactly. So.
He froze.
I'm back. Oh
no, it's the Bona. Am I the only one, or did it? Okay.
No,
there he is.
All right, you froze.
Yeah, no, you guys all froze for me, so I figured it was on me. But it's just, it's I guess in a way, this is, it's almost like a guilty pleasure for me as somebody who is like staunchly anti-capitalist, like to watch this movie and kind of find myself rooting for this guy that just works loopholes in the system and then just outright outright breaks the law a lot of times, and I still kind of find myself rooting for him. So
that's a lot. How do you fit all of that into your Pornhub search bar? That's just
man,
like
it's a
so
lot.
much.
Just keywords, bro. Just keywords. Keywords. Anti-capitalist, bear, rape. It's just very specific keywords. I also have this as my number one. It's a phenomenal movie from front to end. Very long, but very much necessary. Like I often look back at long movies and go, where would I have cut if I was a filmmaker, B, fucking an editor? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not talented at all in any of these areas, but I always ask myself, that part to me is that movie is perfect to me. It's one of those things where I can't even I wouldn't even know where to cut. I wouldn't even want to cut anything. I will say this though, I was rooting for Jordan Belfort all the way till he fucked over when he put his kids' lives in danger in that car.
Yeah.
And at that point, that I was rooting for him. I knew he was a bad guy. I love the fact that they didn't hide it. They weren't trying to make it seem, they weren't painting it with rose-colored glasses. They were flat out saying, like, is this legal? Absolutely fucking not. Like, that's another thing. The fourth wall breaking. That to me, I thought was genius. It's Marty Scorsese doing voiceover like he's done in every other movie, except it's not doing voiceover. It's literally talking to the audience, and I thought it was fantastically done. But that cross, he should have won the Oscar for that fucking cross scene alone.
Yes, the physical comedy of that shit.
It's fucking brilliant, where he thought he was moving at one speed, but his it wasn't like that. He's like, oh, I handled it pretty well, and it's like like, no, you did not handle it very well. That to me was a brilliant.
This movie marked the first time when I was actively upset that he didn't win. Like when he didn't win the Oscar for Wolf of Wall Street, that was the first time I was like, this is dog shit. Like I'm actually mad now. And I usually just don't care anything about the Oscars, but I was so into that movie. When he didn't win for that one, that was the one where I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
I gotta be honest with you. This is before I knew that the Oscars was actually political. Like, I know people say that, but I always took that saying, like, people say shit like, oh, there's aliens in Roswell, and you go, okay, I'm not saying there's not, but I don't really, you gotta show me some kind of evidence, some kind of proof to that shit. With that said, I've seen enough information come out about the Oscars literally being political that I'm just like, oh. But before that, this happened, and he didn't win for Wolf of Wall Street, and I'm with you. I was like, oh, fuck you. I was like mad. I was like visibly mad. But I was mad at a lot of shit. I was mad at a lot of things. I was mad that he didn't win for Aviator. I was mad about that.
I was about to say he got nominated for fucking Blood Diamond too. They nominated him for that shit.
Yeah. Blood Diamond. Yeah, man. So hold on, give me a second. I gotta these comments are coming out of the fucking woodwork, man. You see, we keep talking about porn, and this is what happens, guys.
Yeah, he lost to McConaughey in Dallas Buyers Club that year.
Yeah,
which fine, I get it, right? He was more tortured in Dallas Buyers Club, but
I'm looking at like the Wikipedia list, right, of just all his nominations and wins, and like the nomination to win ratio is insane. Like, I mean,
yeah, it's like Sally Fields.
It's like 15-1. Yeah, he's just been nominated. He's just got to be like, sure, I'll go to another fucking dinner. Okay. Put on my goddamn loser
do I have
suit
to fucking donate to this fucking Arts of Motion Picture Sciences to get a fucking Oscar? Jesus.
It's 252 nominations to 101 wins, which, like, not bad, but like, that's just like 151 times that he's been like,
yeah, somebody else got that BAFTA.
Sorry you didn't like me being a guy who flew a big plane. God, I tried really hard.
I was in college when that movie came out, when Aviator came out, and I fucking did my report on Howard Hughes and the Aviator, and I fucking put that clip of this. Like, I found the clip of the spruce goose actually flying, and like used that. But it was all my information. My research was watching The Aviator. That was my research.
What did you use as your like sources at the end of the paper?
Well, no, it wasn't an actual paper. It was an oral presentation. It was a communication.
Gotcha.
It was a communications course. So it was just like, and that's. I mean, come on, guys, that's right on my fucking alley. Like, how well can you bullshit on? Like, how much you're gonna get up in front of you're gonna get up in front of the class and you're gonna talk. And it was one of those like argumentatives, like to try to convince somebody of something or try to convince somebody to not do something or do something. And it was like, and I was like, well, okay. One of my other speeches was about how comedy is a real art form. Like that was actually a fucking thing where I had, and then I went on minutes before I went in front of the class. I looked up how many improv comedy clubs there were in the country. So yeah, it's just like, how well can you bullshit? And I'm like, I got this, guys. I've watched The Aviator. So the
then he put the tissue boxes on his feet.
Yeah. Anyways, we got a comment before we get out of here. We got a comment before we decide the final mountain. Andrew Chacon saying that his list would be Wolf of Wall Street, Django, and that the best part of the Titanic was the dude hitting the propeller on the way down
with the Wilhelm scream. Hell yeah!
I will say that if one of the comments that I
It's got a whole ass titty in that movie, and you're
I was gonna say it's the second best part.
Titty number 1 is the first part. Titty number 2 is the second part, and then no. But when you watch this chick Kate Winslet swing that fucking axe, she closes her eyes, which I find fucking hilarious. If you freeze it and do shot by frame, you see her close her eyes as she's swinging, and obviously it's not a real fucking axe, but I just think it's funny that the character's closing her fucking eyes, swinging. I'm like, you're about to cut this dude's arm off, dude.
The look on it,
anyways, he's about to drown in an hour anyway. Who gives a fuck?
The look on his face, like when he goes from shock to like, oh, I've got to now pretend that I believed in her the whole time. Like that always gets me. He's like amazed. He's like, I knew you could do it, Rose. I'm like, shut the fuck up. We all saw your face.
It's hilarious. All right. So the final, so the number ones, I'm sorry, are Men in the Iron Mask, Django, and Wolf of Wall Street ×2. So the repeats are Django and Wolf of Wall Street. Am I correct? That is there anything else that got tabled?
I don't think so.
I think that's it.
All right. So Wolf of Wall Street and Django are in there. This is really one of those topics where anything you say, I'm up for it. I don't care what it is. It's really, really good. Obviously, the only one that I have not seen is I didn't finish Great Gatsby and I didn't see Shutter Island. And as long as you don't put Quick and the Dead, I'm fine with anything else.
I didn't expect that would make it. I just wanted to talk about Gene Hackman shooting his son.
Oh, great, man. You know what I mean? That should have been his last movie instead of fucking Moosehead or whatever the fuck it was. Mayor of Moosetown.
I know you and DeBoner are not huge fans of it, but I'd like to put Once Upon a Time in Hollywood up for.
I don't dislike that movie at all whatsoever. There's a very big difference between not seeing the masterpiece that everybody else sees and not acknowledging that it's a very good movie. I acknowledge it as a very good movie. I have no problems in putting that movie up there.
And he was the part of the movie that was best for me. I would not be upset for that one to make it because he was the reason that I hung in there. Plus, like the little like blooper reel during the credits.
Is that going to be what he's fucking goes down in history for, though? Is that going to be like, I think Django and Wolf of Wall Street. I haven't seen Wolf of Wall Street, and I think those two are up there.
Really
like,
good.
Yeah, dude,
Alex,
just fight anyone with a sword in the movie.
The movie opens up with him snorting cocaine off a hooker's ass.
Is she holding a sword?
Nobody blows the coke into her ass.
That's pretty good too. Oh yeah, that's my friend. That's my friend Samantha. Is the said hooker? It plays the. I do know that.
Really? Is that real?
Yeah. I
thought you were just making a joke. I'm like, oh, that's funny.
No.
I
used to do children's theater with that hooker.
I love that. That's hilarious. Oh man, did she make a big deal about it? Like, hey, I'm in the fucking new Martin Scorsese movie. That's awesome. I wonder if she got invited to the premiere. She invited her dad. Come on, Dad, you got to see me. This is.
I don't think she invited her dad. She was around. Yeah.
I'm with it, man. Anything else? What do you guys want to put, man?
I would throw Romeo and Juliet up there, just like for like down in history. Nobody
iconic.
brought Titanic, did we? So like,
No,
I mean, like
well,
as far as like,
we did. So the picks that we have left are Quick and the Dead, Great Gatsby, Romeo plus Juliet, J. Edgar, Gangs of New York, which is a pretty big one in my opinion.
yeah, but not an iconic Leo, I don't think. I just happen to have seen it.
The Departed, Shutter Island, Catch Me If You Can, which is also pretty iconic for Leo. Inception, pretty big for Leo. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I've already put on there. So we're just missing one. So
I mean, I know it's my pick, so I'm sitting here, filibustering for it. But Romeo and Juliet, man, that's one that everybody is always going to go back to and think about. That's that
but
one.
David goes back and thinks about it, how bad it was. So while your statement is not wrong,
but he remembers it.
He's talking about it.
Here's the thing. I do think it's an iconic role, and the film itself is iconic.
Oh, Romeo's an iconic role.
his version of Romeo specifically. I mean, obviously, Romeo is a big deal, and the play's a big deal. I think
Jet Li did it better.
So even though I actually kind of hate him in that movie, I don't disagree that it should be on a mountain for that reason. I mean, it's fucking iconic.
Yeah,
I'm all right with putting it. I think the Departed should go on there, but that's my pick. I
agree. I would if there's a vote, I go Departed over.
You want to go coin flip? We could go coin flip.
All right.
Hold on.
Yeah, because we're 2-2 on that.
As somebody without skin in the game, this is the thing to me. Just as an outside observer, Departed, Inception these are ensemble films, as opposed to, he's there, he's with the big crew. But again, 0 dogs in this game. My dogs are outside playing with guns and swords. Not worried about law enforcement.
The progression of your list.
All right, heads or tails? Heads or tails?
Tails.
Okay.
Tails. So head is Departed. Tails is Romeo.
All right.
There
Tails
you go.
It is. All right, we flipped it. We got it. Tails. So Romeo. Am I saying that correctly?
Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo. So Romeo and Juliet is our number. I'm okay. You know why I'm okay with this? Because it will get Missy from yelling at me. So
I got you, Missy.
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet. So our final mountain is Django, Unchained, Wolf of Wall Street, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Romeo plus Juliet. And not a bad list. Again, man, you can't go wrong with this list, man. He's a fantastic actor. All praise to him. Thank you guys for checking us out. Make sure you check out the other podcasts on the Geek Bro Network, including but not limited to Better Let Me Tell You, Shiver, the horror movie podcast that Debona and Dave do, Cramocopia, the Real Crime podcast that our other co-hosts Jeff and Q do, the What's Up Bro podcast, the Kick Flicks, which me, Jeff, and Mike do, and what else am I missing? Comedy Fitness, and Child Like a Best with Mike Valdez. So make sure you guys check that out. Also check out the Missing Sock Network, where Alex does a bunch of different podcasts. He does a D&D podcast. Am I correct, Alex?
Yeah, we have a D&D podcast that I'm sometimes on called The Flores Dungeon. It's a different weird pop culture mashup one shot every month. You can listen to our Marvel podcast, the MCU, which is Mike Contextualizes the Universe. That's so Mike Mercadal, also of the fucking if you want to hear me scream lots of explosions in those movies, friends, and lots of swords. And then you could also listen to Mystic Lasagna, where we read Garfield comics like tarot cards or Child's Play, where my friend and I are listening to the entire Kids Bop discography. We started at 1, we are on 33, and I'm losing my fucking mind. We also record and bring refurbished, refixed versions of songs to things. So yeah, plenty of shit. If you've listened to all of the Geek Bro podcasts, come over. Missing Sock's got more content.
Missing Sock is fantastic, man. It has great stuff. His social media handle is at the letter R Alex Murray, Murray.
Yeah.
So make sure you check him out. Alex, thank you, man. Appreciate you very
Thanks
much.
for having me, man. This is always a
man,
blast.
I
Fucking great.
fucking had a great time. I had a great time with you last time. There's a great time. I hope we continue this going. Make sure you check out all the podcasts on Missing Sock and at geekbro.net. Thank you very much, you guys. That's how lists are made.